Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the EUS Challenger Series number 7 semi-finals. We should be getting underway in just a second. It is Eternity versus Heimerdingers Colossi. I am Spuddington, and today I'm going to be joined by a guest caster, someone we haven't had on this show before, and it's going to be Forecourt Jester. So, hello.
How's it going there, Spud?
Pretty decent, pretty decent. We are into Champion Select, and per the usual setup, we have got our streamer in one of the spectator slots in the lobby, and you've also got me in the other spectator slot. So Forecourt Jester will be a little bit behind, but we do have some bans coming out right now. We've got Evelyn, Zach, Nautilus, Fizz, and Twisted Fate so far. So, got any thoughts on that? It seems pretty standard to me.
The Twisted Fate, definitely, even across the pond, the global play in League of Legends is something you kind of don't want to deal with at all times. But I'm looking at Zach, and I was watching The General last night, and he said if you get Zach, you're basically cheating. If you can't win with Zach, it's Zach's fault. So, yeah, banding out Zach sounds like a great idea to me.
Yeah, Zach's, I mean, he's really, really solid at pretty much everything. He doesn't have quite the same level of, like, you know, single target lockdown as Nautilus or AoE lockdown as someone like a Mumu. But yeah, really, really, really solid. And he's just such, I mean, having, what, 10-second cooldown, what, 1100 AoE range, sorry, yeah, 1100 range in the AoE, yeah, 1100 range on the jump with the elastic slingshot. With an AoE knock-up at the end is incredibly good, and his damage is pretty significant too. So yeah, scary character, and I've certainly thought he's worthy of a ban, even though he has been nerfed. That being said, the Evelyn pickup, the Evelyn ban, is pretty reasonably, you know, targeted there. It's got to be going for Spontex. He plays a lot of that Evelyn, and Freeze at the moment is hovering over LeBlanc in the lobby. There's only 4 seconds left. He might actually lock this in, so it could be a placeholder, or it could be, well, I doubt it would be mid LeBlanc, but maybe support.
Well, there's something to be said about mid LeBlanc, especially in Korea. There was a big upset just, a few weeks ago with going home and just instantly solo queuing with LeBlanc. She does have a lot of burst, but a support LeBlanc would be definitely something interesting on my end. Shen also out of the mix out of this as well. Again, global does not really want to be dealt with here. The Fizz ban, you don't really see that on my side of the pond here, but, you know, Evelyn, she's been a scary character ever since Alex Itch kind of just started destroying face with her. So, yeah, good stuff overall, and we'll see what we want to pick up here for the next pickup.
Yeah, well, the Fizz ban is targeted at Extinct. We've seen him now, I think, 3 or 4 times in the US Challenger Series, pulling out that Fizz, and usually as a counter to Twisted Fate, because you can dodge the stun card, and then you can just all in him and take him down before he ever gets another card. But even if he's not against Twisted Fate, he is an incredibly good Fizz player, and it's so scary to watch, and obviously a good thing to ban out. I was actually talking to Eternity Agent yesterday, and he mentioned that one of the scariest things about Heimerdingers Colossi is just their champion pool. Every single one of their players can pull out something really wacky, something really unusual, and they also all have a very good kind of general base in their particular roles. I mean, you've got that Corki that you sometimes see out of Freeze, except he also does Draven very well, but he plays all the other AD carries very solidly as well. You've got, you know, that Nunu, which is coming out for Malunu. You've got all sorts of things, and I haven't heard any word that LeBlanc is a placeholder, but you never know, I might just actually ask that.
Well, if you do need to ask, go free, of course. Now, Thresh getting picked up here with Jarvan, possibly a Kennen to go with that. Thresh, very powerful support. You can, of course, run him solo. We have seen some ADs in and amongst the pro ranks, but I would not expect to see that here on this tournament. But Quinn and Kennen, very likely, I'd say a top Kennen, ADC Quinn in the bot. And to go up against Caitlyn, like, Quinn does have some long range, and after level 6, she can get some pretty decent bursts, and throw Thresh into the mix with the box. It's kind of like a close-in comp there, so we're going to have to see how they want to deal with that. I'm curious to see, is Nunu support still a thing?
Seeing it on Heimerdingers Colossi, it's almost certainly going to be a jungle Nunu. The thing that you see with the... okay, right. LeBlanc is indeed a placeholder. It's going to be Jace, which doesn't surprise me. It's a little bit sad, but Jace on Extinct, yeah, it's scary stuff. We've seen him mid with it so many times. It's also, still a viable top. But, like I say, Heimerdingers Colossi Malunu tends to run jungle Nunu, and he is just unbelievably annoying to deal with when he's doing that. I mean, he is the guy, he'll do, I think we saw this yesterday. He did golems with the assistance of his team, and then from that top area, he just walked straight to the enemy blue buff and stole it, and then walked out again because he's Nunu, and there's not a lot you can do about it. He has this consume smite combo, and that's incredibly difficult to deal with. At level 1, I think consume even outdoes smite for damage. So yeah, you're stuffed if you're trying to keep some buff control there, but. Have got the last pick coming in just a couple of seconds, and they are now hovering over that Ezreal, so it does look like that will be the full lineup. A Thresh, Jarvan, Kennen, Quinn, maybe, unless it's a placeholder, Ezreal, but it does look like they're swapping around, so I don't think it is a placeholder, versus the Jace, the Caitlyn, the Malphite, the Nunu, and the Janna.
Be very curious if it's going to be a mid Ezreal or not. Blue Ezreal can definitely wreck some face these days. Of course, it has become very popular as of the last few weeks. But you're saying that LeBlanc's going to be changed into Jace. That's great. Malphite up there. And yeah, Caitlyn, Janna, that seems like get disengaged. And if it is going to be a Quinn in the bottom lane with Thresh, that seems like more of a jump on you kind of comp. So I'm curious to see which way that will go. But as you say, we might have the placeholders. Haven't heard anything about the Quinn side, but we'll see if they actually lock it back in.
Yeah, gonna be interesting to see what they choose to do with that. Well, I mean, obviously they will have already declared it if that is what it is. I just don't know. Quinn is an interesting character in that she has so many strengths to her, but at the same time her weaknesses are really, really glaring. I mean, just range, and the fact that her steroid is actually a little bit unreliable, I find. Not that I've played a lot of Quinn, but if you are in human form, the steroid for her actual attack speed is reliant on landing those Harrier procs. And the only way you can guarantee a Harrier proc is if you've used Vault, which means you have to go into melee range even on that, even in that human form, which is just really, really risky. That being said, mini stun on an AD carry on demand, a blind on an AD carry on a skill shot, high damage. She does have some very, very useful and scary aspects. Could be a pick, could be not. We will be seeing in a second. The lobby has been remade, and they are going into this champion select once again, so we will be seeing.
All right, so now is their chance to spell out something funny in the banned champions.
I doubt it will be particularly amusing. Heimerdingers Colossi have a poor record for making it family friendly, but A has been locked in, as with the S. Yes, I have a funny feeling we know what's coming in here. So we have also got, yes, yes, yeah, okay, right, so lovely. That spells out a sentence of sorts. Anyway, locks coming in. We have got the Quinn locked in again, so it was intentional on Eternity's part, and I don't know where they're going to be running it, and that is potentially very, very useful for them, because if you don't know where your opponent is going to be running which character, that actually does create a lot of uncertainty, and Heimerdingers Colossi are usually very good at engineering good setups with lane swaps, but they have a very, very flexible team here. Eternity, we will be seeing, and just continuing the lock-ins now.
It's all about those ambiguous picks. Where am I going? Am I going top? Am I going jungle? Now these days, are we going lane swap? Mid. Sometimes we do see the ADC support go there, throw our AP there into a different lane. So there are a few different ways that the meta can be flexible enough for this. And as you said, with this team, I mean, 2 ADCs right there. I'm curious to see if it will be an Ezreal solo, because if I have to choose between putting a Quinn solo and an Ezreal, I'm going to just bank on Ezreal with his long range farming and his arcane shift just to get out of those sticky situations.
That being said, if he were to put Ezreal mid against Jace, I don't think he'd have that much fun. Jace would be, if Ezreal could get himself into a position to land a Mystic Shot, he'd be in position to take a Shock Blast to the face, and that would just not work out as a good trade. Plus, you'd have Extinct with the Jace being able to all in a lot more strongly. I suspect we're going to be seeing Quinn mid, especially considering he's actually now on that Super Blob, who is their mid player, particularly, and he might have some real strengths here. his range issues are not going to be so significant against Jace, because Jace obviously only has 500 range. In fact, he outranges him for auto attacks. He can then go in with that Vault, go in with that Harrier proc. It's a lot of damage. Very scary thing to have to deal with. That being said, very squishy mid, very easily ganked. But we will be going into a quick commercial break while the delay timer counts down, and we will see you in just a few minutes. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the semi-finals. I'm actually going to have to cut this intro short. There is potentially action happening. We have got some damage coming down, a little bit of poke coming down. Heimerdingers Colossi did look to go for an invade there, but I don't think they've been able to put down a ward. So Yeah, I am Spuddington. I am joined by Forecourt Jester. This is a semi-final round, the first game in a best of 3 between Heimerdingers Colossi and Team Eternity. Forecourt, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing good across the pond here, Mr. Spud. I am obviously thrilled to be here.
I choose to take that as a compliment rather than simply a thorn in my side. Anyway, we are seeing Eternity kind of looping around in this top, so they could be going towards the blue buff of Malunu. Wouldn't be too surprising to see. Furious, Nono and Vandernoop have cleared out the ward at their blue. Malunu has put down his own ward to guard that banana brush. I'm curious to see, but I feel like Heimerdingers Colossi may have actually predicted Eternity's invade here. However, they've only got Janna and they've only got Caitlyn in the area. There is a ward down. They are going to be heading towards this. They're not going to be able to catch them, surely. Freeze may not be able to get the wolf, though, so that will at least push them off that. And if they delay it long enough, then that could cost fairly dear. Extinct is coming around the side, but I think the wolf will just kind of re-aggro, de-aggro, and then everything else. Besides, we are actually seeing more action there. We've got Extinct looking to contest this. Malunu coming in as well. It's a 4-man versus 3 situation. Agent is low. Agent has to flash out. Spontek's now in a bit of problem. He is going to be chased. Malunu has committed his point to consume, though, so he can't slow him down. And nothing too much is going to come of it, though. Eternity are forced to back off.
And it was the consume that actually landed the blue buff, so it was a good attempt for a steal or a little bit of early game action, but Luno with that consume was able to just take that away. As you said, you know, it does do more damage than the smite, but the combo itself, 1090 damage at level 1. It's really hard to just deal with that this early on when the damage levels are just not that high. And you also now see the lane swap in the top, and it is going to be Quinn there in the middle with Thresh coming down into the bottom to help out Nono, who is going to be on that Ezreal.
Yeah, so it's going to be one to watch, this mid lane. I feel like it's going to very much come down to being a skill matchup between the two of them. You're seeing how much damage Super Blob is actually putting out already, just straight up with a Harrier proc, taking, you know, a good 5-10% of Extinct's health, roughly equivalent to a Shock Blast Acceleration Gate combo at this level, except it didn't cost him any mana. Obviously, Shock Blast will scale up a little bit quicker, but that's still not going to be a huge concern. I'm just keeping an eye on it in case anything actually happens. But at the moment, it doesn't look like there's going to be too much happening. Both junglers just kind of wandering around their jungle, and in fact, Agent is going to recall.
So with the lane swap, obviously, you do like to see these tower rushes. So top lane, you can see Freeze and Mythy already pushing Spontex back, and over 1,000 damage to the top lane turret. A little slower on the bottom side, where Eternity is trying to do the same here to Yamato Cannon. But there goes the Nunu, and here goes mid.
Yeah, so I am actually a little bit curious as to whether they're going to be able to take this top tower out in time here. They have got... Oh, a pause coming in, but I'm a little bit curious as to what's causing the pause here.
I haven't said anything here in chat Vanderlegs, so we're just going to give it a few minutes. Hopefully the latency will settle down. But the League of Pauses, nothing really too unknown here in the competitive scene. Top tower at 4 minutes is already down to 761 hit points. So the top lane with Janna, you know, give it off the shield to Caitlyn. Caitlyn by herself, really long range, really high auto attack damage early on, especially with that shield from Janna, just adds more damage to those shots. And yeah, the tower, you know, a few more pushes like this is not going to be lasting that long at all. Now, Eternity Agent is in this top lane. Just looks like he might be going for the golems, or he's going to be coming up here to support Spontex, just like we got Maluno supporting bottom lane at this point. But whoever can keep their tower longest will have a bit of that swap around advantage.
Yeah, so we've actually got the hook landing on a minion in that bottom lane. Nothing too much coming of it. I've got to ask, though, right now, Forecourt, do you feel like even if Agent comes to this top lane, do you feel they can actually hold against Caitlyn and Janna pushing together?
Well, the poke war definitely does not favor Eternity at this point, but you know, if they can actually catch someone with that red buff, the blue-red, and you can time it so that the tornadoes are just not there for Mythy, you do have a chance to make something happen, just like we saw Agent try right there. But, you know, again, it's a very big disengage comp. With the net, with the traps, with the tornadoes, and the shields, it's extremely hard early game to get something out of that.
Yeah, and you can actually see Agent now heading towards his golems. I'm not sure he's going to have enough time to take that before the lane is pushed back to the tower. He will actually do so. Does have that smite available, or did. So nothing too much to the unexpected at the moment. We've just got both bot lanes in the various lanes pushing in very, very hard. But you were right when you said that top tower took a lot more damage a lot more quickly, and that's kind of as a result of that level 1, where Agent was forced to take a lot more damage and did end up having to go back earlier. He was delayed in getting to this top lane, and now we also have Freeze just putting down the damage. He's just trying to clear the wave here, but there is damage going down. He's getting the auto attack on Freeze. Freeze is just looking to take this. He's just putting down the auto attack, so it's a slow burn, but it's going to happen eventually. And actually mid, we've got the stun. Oh, that was clever play there by Superblob. He managed to knock himself back by flashing around Nunu and then vaulting off him and getting himself back to his tower.
Yep, so you can be extremely safe here as Quinn with those vaults. It will do that slow, will do the displacement at the same time. Now you can see, again, top lane, since, you know, that is kind of where the hotspot is at this point. You can see the traps now being placed by Caitlyn, which, again, will just create another zone that Caitlyn and Jenna can use their advantage. Now, of course, Eternity Agent up here. He's not going to be off jungling. If you look at the creeps, 27 to Nunu, 12 to Jarvan. That will start affecting the cash flows, if not the experience flows, because Jarvan is in lane. But that is also going to hurt Spontex in terms of his leveling ability, because when you're 2-on-1, you kind of want to get that 6 first so you can make something happen with the jungler. But Eternity Agent at 4 here, it's going to be a while yet.
Yeah, and the top tower is now looking very, very low. One more auto attack will finish that off, so that's a good take from Heimerdingers Colossi. The bottom tower, in response, still only on about half health. That could be bad, and they will most likely now rotate around, head to that bottom lane, look to keep their pressure going and get that tower advantage capitalized upon. We do have Malunu in the bottom lane, has mobility boost. He's pretty fast at the moment, actually, with that Blood Boil on.
Yeah, the mobility boots the Blood Bow. He's just going to hold this lane down, but this is a good chance for Eternity to do a lot of damage to this tower. That's a pretty big creep wave, but they're just going to take this opportunity instead. They've noticed that there's probably going to be that lane swap. Top lane obviously not there, and now we got Malunu just holding down this bottom lane. So they don't want to get out items this early game and have that first blood fall on their shoulders. So they're going to head back, take this opportunity, get their items. It does look like it might be a Blue Ezreal after all. He gets that Spirit Stone, and they're going to head on right back down there. So it will be the typical ADC support battle. The difference, however, is, of course, the global gold.
And Malunu is doing something quite interesting there. It did actually just fully charge his ultimate on Dragon to start that off. It did take off a significant chunk of its health, but there is a ward. Agent is in the area. Smite will be available, but Consume is up, and so is Smite for him. Agent going in. He has done the knockup. We've got the Bird Form's Eternity Spur going in. He's getting the Cataclysm on top. Agent now having to back out very, very low. Vandernoob is in a bit of trouble as well. Put down the Lantern. Extinct having to back out. He's in Hammer form. Can't swap for just another second or so, and a Freeze will jump over the wall, but very nice timing take there by Heimerdingers Colossi.
It was actually Eternity Agent that stole it.
I'm completely blind. How did he manage that? It was against...
It was a miscalculation. There was 200 hit points after the combo from the Dragon between the Smite and the Consume, and Jace just came flying in and stole it. It was really good timing on his part, but a little bit of a miscalculation on the Luna.
Well, fair enough. So that's a windfall there for Eternity. Superblob in mid, though, is in a little bit of trouble. He's quite low right now. Wouldn't take much for Extinct to get him. He does have that Ignite as well, but we've got Vanderloob in the area. That'll give Superblob that little bit of feeling of safety. Won't have to worry about being killed too easily. CS-wise, right now, 66 on Jace, 59 on Quinn. So do you feel at this point that lane is actually working out for them?
Well, they're trading back and forth a little bit. Quinn doesn't have quite the sustain that we had from the early Jace, because he did have potions as opposed to just the Doran's Blade. So he was able to poke a bit better, but now he has the tier, and that doesn't really help out his damage. I mean, it's going to be for that Mirror Mana later, but against Quinn right now with the double Dorans, she's just been trying to poke more rather than CS, so that's why she's slightly behind in that regard.
Yeah, and it's just hard to compete with the wave clear. Vanderloob actually going in with the death sentence does not land in that bottom lane. It's probably going to clue in Heimerdingers Colossi that Agent is in the area. They did have very thorough wards, so they actually ping out as if he had already gone over the wall, and they do think he's there, even though he's actually still hiding in the back line, in that tri-brush. Chase is pushing down the mid lane. Quinn not doing so brilliantly, and there is a ward in that brush if it comes to it. Heimerdingers Colossi going to have to play it careful. The lantern goes in. Agent does not, though.
Gotta love those lantern mechanics, just able to cover so much ground, and then on top of that, you throw down the standard. On top of that, the Cataclysm at level 6, which we do have now for Eternity Agent. If you look at all the wards in the red jungle and Eternity's jungle, that's how they kind of knew that Jarvan was there, because they didn't see him exit from that area. So yeah, that's why the pings went down. They played it safe. They did not get jumped upon. That could have been extremely disastrous with that lantern mechanic, but things will go back to normal. But Quinn, she actually did go back to town. She picked up the tier 2 boots, another blade on top of things, and now you can see her just landing the damage on top of Extinct.
Yeah, but she's having to dodge the shock blast in that bottom lane.
Bot.
Yeah, indeed, we've got Mithy in a bit of a trouble here. He's getting actually aggressive. We've got the Yamato cannon, has teleported in. They have got the lantern out, but the Unstoppable Force will pick that up nice and cleanly. First blood going to Yamato cannon on the Malphite, and that is probably also going to mean the bottom tower is going to be pushed down as well.
Well, Thresh definitely, if he does stick around there, there's a possibility of getting tower dived. We do have a good amount of armor on top of Malphite now, 102, and of course his passive, if he can actually get it back up, is just another buffer. And yeah, this is a pretty big creep wave to go in. Now, the good news is if they do kind of all in and the Jarvan is here, we do have a chance to get a Cataclysm and the Death Sentence, the Flay, just keep them under that tower. And 11 minutes in, you don't really want to go tower diving against two hard-hitting, tanky types like that this early. So they're going to back off a little bit here. No problem. Ezreal's going to come back. He does have that upgraded stone. We want to get something here from Eternity Agent. Just can't at this point. The disengage from Janna is exactly why you pick her up in these kind of comps.
Yeah, it's a nasty thing to have to deal with if you're one of those gap-closing characters. Vandernoob potentially angling for a hook. They're not going to be able to land it. And Extinct is heading... Putting down a ward there, was looking like he might head top, but chose not to do so. In bottom lane now, we've got Malunu flashing in for the absolute zero. It isn't going to be what picks the kills up, but it did mean the Agent was unable to help that Thresh. And that is another kill there for Heimerdingers Colossi. They're taking a little bit of an advantage now. Forecourt, do you feel like this is just going to be the start of the classic Heimerdingers snowball?
Well, I was actually looking up Heimerdingers Colossi, and they've played against Eternity Gaming before, and unfortunately I have not seen a win on Eternity's side as of yet in these matchups. So definitely the stats kind of favor Heimerdinger at this point. So far, Leaguepedia doesn't actually have any losses recorded for these guys in those first place matches. So with all the talent that Heimerdingers Colossi does have, if they can snowball this, which they very likely will, it's going to get extremely difficult for Eternity to kind of do anything come mid-game.
Yeah, and actually in bottom lane, we are seeing a bit of an AD carry duel here. No being dangerous, but so is Free. We've got No actually seemingly a little bit more sustained. Agent coming in from the side. We are going to be seeing Gianna with that ultimate very shortly, I suspect. Cataclysm goes straight down. Doesn't get anything, but Malunu is coming in for the counter engage here. We've got the lantern down, but it was to save Jarvan, not Nono. Nono is in trouble now. He's very low on health. One more ice ball, one more attack from Mithy is the what picks it up. We've got the hook going down, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And that was another kill for Heimerdingers Colossi. They just seem to be coming out a little bit better in these engagements. Forecourt, are you there?
My mistake, sir. It was beeping at me, and I had to register what that meant.
Right, fair enough. Well, Super Blob actually in mid is in a lot of trouble. He has got Jace on him. The Ignite goes down. The barrier will probably save him if the Shock Blast misses, which it doesn't. He's dead now, suddenly.
Gotta love the snipes coming up from Extinct. But 4-0, 13 minutes in. Bottom tower in trouble. Mid tower in trouble. Colossi is kind of taking an iron hand here this early game. And, again, all stats aside, it's kind of really hard to let that go at this point. 3 turrets up. They didn't get the Dragon, unfortunately. But, 3 turrets versus the Dragon. Obviously, the global gold is on their side. 4 kills on top of that. It comes out to about 3,000 gold. And the only reason that I think it's not bigger is because some of the creep values is just either on point or, in the case of the top, doubling that of Colossi.
Yeah, and we are now seeing the Dragon attempt coming out of Eternity. They do have the control over the area. Malunu is also there, though, so consume at rank 2, but he's not going to go for it, deciding probably better not to risk it. And that does bring the gold a little bit closer now. We do have only about 2,000 between the two teams, which is still very much a workable difference. That is not the kind of difference where it really starts influencing who is going to win in a team fight. but it's significant, and it's the kind of advantage that can really start to build as well. So Super Blob picking up that blue buff there in the mid lane. Agent coming around towards this mid. I'm not sure if he can reasonably stop them though. If he goes in here, he might well get bursted. Super Blob is around the side, flack and drag actually just to get himself closer to the tower. Blinding hit goes down. It's not going to be what kills, but they are continuing this push. Jace towards the side there. We've got the ultimate in from Nono over the wall. He will then himself jump over. We've got the Cataclysm in. He's now in a bit of trouble here, but he's going low. He isn't going to die. The Shock Blast whiffs. Malunu takes a lot of poke, but we've actually got Kennen ulting in from the side on nothing. Malunu in trouble here. He's low, but not going to die. Super Blob vaults back into a trap there. But again, no one really dies, and Heimerdingers Colossi are looking pretty healthy other than Malunu.
Spontex was trying to catch Jace as he was coming up through that bush. Unfortunately for him, Jace kind of just did an out footsie maneuver, did not go the expected way, and that did kind of blow out the slicing maelstrom here from Spontex. So unfortunately for them, yeah, they tried to throw out a little bit of aggression, couldn't catch anything. They lose a tower as a result, 4-0 now. But again, the two dragons now for Eternity going a long way to keeping them just kind of in the game in terms of the gold, and with two Spirit Stones on their side, that Ezra as well as Jarvan, like that's kind of half the battle for them, because they got to go up against Malunu, who has not only the true damage from Smite but the true damage from Consume.
Yeah, but we are seeing the counter push now coming in from Eternity. Not sure it's going to work out for them though. There is the split push Malphite at the moment, has got that teleport available along with Unstoppable Force. Looks like Eternity are going to have to back out, kind of circle around, try and deal with that push. But it's going to be hard to kill Malphite. And actually, he's in mid. Super Blob is low. He has popped the bird form. He's going to probably take a shock blast, but he's deciding not to go for it. Probably wouldn't have killed even if it had hit. So just going to be letting Super Blob leg it back home. Jarvan taking red. We've got Malphite recalling. Nothing too much going on at the moment. There's just, positioning here from Malunu, who is just going to shove down that auto attack, try and clear out that brush, and I think walk out.
Well, with hit points to spare and a easy health recovery mechanic, yeah, you can afford to do that kind of stuff as a Nunu. So bottom lane, Nono and Noob, they're just kind of just tending it at this point. In terms of the creeps, Caitlyn up just a bit, but also has those kills and assists to her name. And with a Blood Boil on top of things, again, more towards a mid game, she already has a Bloodthirster, but the more and more that she gets and the higher and the longer this game goes, Miluno and that Blood Boil is just going to add even more damage on top of the shield from Janna, on top of that for Caitlyn. She's going to just be hitting like an absolute monster.
And she is the classic long-range AD carry. She will sit right at the back and be very difficult to jump on. Agent is really the only one on the team that's equipped to get to that backline. I'm not sure he's going to have the follow-up damage up against this Peel composition for Heimerdingers. It's going to be risky. It's going to be difficult. We do have Kennen returning to top lane. Going to be trying to bully around Malphite. He does have to make sure he retains his stun though, just in case that teleport call comes in. We've got Agent going in the bottom. Has done the Flagger Drag. We've got the ult from Ezreal, but it's not going to be a full-on engage. Still continuing the poke. Vandanu, very, very low, has taken a huge amount of damage just straight up from Jace and that Caitlyn. And they're going to continue pushing here. I don't see this stopping anytime soon.
And there's no reason to stop. They already got both turrets mid, and top lane is split pushing like a boss. Kennen's actually being forced here into the bottom, and that's what Eternity Agent was waiting for. Miluno flashes out, no problem. There goes the Monsoon. And again, disengage comp is the name of this game. I don't know why we had the teleport even started there from Yamato Cannon, but then he decided, nope, not worth it. He's just going to keep split pushing the top as more and more damage, more and more pressure here in this bot lane continues.
Yeah, and actually we're going for the engage here. It does look like maybe Heimerdingers Colossi stuck around a bit long, but Agent now very low. Vandanu puts down the box. They're going to be chasing this down. Super Blob has been exhausted. He's going to be trying to get in position, but takes a shock blast to the face. And Heimerdingers Colossi, like you say, disengage and poke. And every time that you get aggressive on that kind of setup, you're going to be taking a lot of damage to the face for the privilege. And it's just making a lot of difficulty for Eternity. They are not able to get in here to actually do the damage that they have, and even if they do now, they're starting to fall behind significantly enough that I'm not sure they would have the damage. Yamato Cannon will still have that. Well, actually no, he used it, didn't he? He then cancelled it, so it'll be half cooldown. He will get that back up eventually, but Heimerdingers are just going to back out, it looks like.
Well, they've done their job. I mean, they've brought everyone basically to their knees here on Eternity. All the all the important ults are basically down. In fact, all 5 ults for Eternity are down, whereas we only kind of use 2 here on top of Heimerdinger Colossi. So the next immediate fight, if they do try to push out, you can punish that. But at the same time, again, like we also had Malphite Split pushing that top tower down on its knees, 400 hit points, bottom tower a little bit over half. But so much time was wasted here from Eternity because they're not farming if they're defending. They only got that 1 creep wave and they're splitting it between each other. Whereas we had Malphite free farming and just bottom lane already with that advantage. They weren't too worried about splitting at that point because they were looking for those kills.
Yeah, and we do now see posturing over this dragon potentially. Heimerdingers Colossi are looking for this Vandanoob. Gonna be getting that pink ward down. We'll be doing the auto attacks. Superblob putting on damage to Malunu, but it's Malunu. He is not going to take damage for very long. Has been stunned. Is going to back out. Pink ward in that little tuft of brush. Agent now hanging around the side. Yamato Cannon is a big threat though. He has got quite a lot of farm. Has taken a little bit of poke, but again, he's hitting these rock characters that will not take damage, and if they do take it, it's not going to last long. Breeze now will be coming in for this poke. Is a little bit far forward here potentially. Agent goes in. He's been tornadoed back. He's on freeze, but he's going to get killed. We've got the Unstoppable Force in the backline locking down 3 from Yamato Cannon. Spontex now is in the position. He's going to get blown up. Vandanoob in trouble. He gets destroyed. We've got Yamato Cannon chasing this down. Freeze flashes. The bird form from Super Blob is basically just being used as an escape here. Not going to be able to utilize the extra damage on that form. And now Nono will be in a bit of an awkward spot where he can't really do anything to anyone. Caitlyn pushing in that mid lane, and that was a resounding defeat once again for Eternity.
Now, had we actually engaged that a little bit earlier here from Heimerdingers Colossi, it would have been even a more overwhelming victory because, again, like all 5 of those ults were down from the bottom lane fights. But more importantly, though, we didn't have Vandernoobs up. We didn't have that box. And because, you know, everyone is just kind of collapsing on top of them at that point, box could have made a big damage difference for Eternity. Might have been able to get a kill out of it. But, you know, again, that short term, they were just able to punish, no problem. They get a dragon out of it. They get a few of those kills. And, you know, Blob, if he hadn't had that bird form, he would have immediately went down as well. But it just came up in the nick of time. Immediately used it as an escape mechanism. And that's kind of the overall theme of this game so far. It's just gotta retreat away from these guys because they can't collapse on them. And Heimerdinger Colossi just keeps disengaging and wearing you down. And it's working out fantastically.
Yeah, they are just winning this on team comp alone at the moment. I mean, what can you really do as Eternity in this situation? You're trying to jump on them, but every time you do, you just take a perfect tornado to the face. And you really got to give props to Mithy for doing that. I mean, he has been blocking 80% of Jarvan's attempts to get in and get aggressive. And it's just making life very, very difficult. I do have to wonder whether Eternity maybe could go for some kind of split pushing approach, but the problem for that, I suppose, is none of them can really duel Yamato Cannon. So what do you feel they can do to bring this back at this point?
Really, you got to kind of depend upon Heimerdinger Colossi just kind of misstepping in a fight at this point. I've been watching a lot of these fights, and they're very patient. They don't do these, you know, knee-jerk reactions. They don't just blow their ultimates because they feel that they're in danger. They have a very calm mindset here. They're not reacting, you know, very split pushy. They're reacting very calculated. So if you can't get those mistakes, then the disengage as a team from Heimerdinger Colossi is just going to be unbeatable because I don't see a way for Eternity to kind of get in there unless all those cooldowns have already been blown. But typically, you're dead by the time they're all blown anyways.
Yeah, and we're continuing to see this push in on mid lane. With the poke coming in from Extinct, he's got the Mirror Mana now as well, so one Hypercharge doing quite a lot of damage. Malunu does not care about tanking towers. They've also got plenty of shields on that composition from the Janna, so they're just going to continue this pressure. And even if Heimerdingers Colossi, you know, get engaged upon here in the worst possible way, they're still probably going to have a man advantage because Yamato Cannon has got that teleport. He will come in, and if this poke continues, that's bad. The box goes in. Vandanoob is in trouble though. He's gone in alone. He's been destroyed. We've got the teleport in from Yamato Cannon. It's going to come in. He doesn't actually use Unstoppable Force though. It looks like they're just going to take out the tower. Agent is in trouble. Agent gets destroyed. We've got the Unstoppable Force actually kind of hitting Nono maybe. I'm not really sure. That was just weird mechanics on Arcane Shift. Does look like we do have a shutdown there. The first kill for Eternity, but too little too late, to be honest. That bottom inhib, that's not going to last long, and Heimerdingers Colossi are just looking incredibly strong right now.
See, now that we have all those, disengages, majority down at this point, as well as Extinct dead, doesn't matter though, there's a surrender. You could try to do some kind of chase here, try to get another kill, but the 10-1, I mean, Extinct, he knew that he was going to go down, but he got the kills. And again, you saw Yamato Kenny, he comes in, he teleports, doesn't split reaction use the Unstoppable Force. He waited, he saw a chance where he could hit both of the ADCs, he used it, and yeah, as you said, a little bit of a funny mechanics with the Arcane Shift, but it actually happens a few other kind of skill shots. For example, Poppy, if she actually charges you, but you Arcane Shift while she's charging you, you're going to come right back to your spot. So that's kind of what happened there. He did get hit, but very calm, very meticulous, very methodical, and 10-1, just overwhelming.
Yeah, really, really solid performance out of Heimerdingers, and it's kind of what we've come to expect from them. Honestly, they are an incredibly good team, and they have just dominated everything since they have appeared. Still, we will be going into the second game of this best of 3 in just a few moments. I think we may rotate the casters. I'm not 100% certain on that, but we will see you in just a couple of minutes. This is a break coming to you now.